Hi friends, this is Pastor Lucas Pin and this is our snack for the journey, and this week we are walking through the second letter that Paul wrote to the Thessalonians, a beautiful letter that Paul wrote, and they were going through a lot of tough time. It was a tough time because they were suffering persecution, things are not going well, and then they had doubts about dying, the coming of Christ, the resurrection, how that's going to work. Those that are left behind, those that die before them, are they going to resurrect or they're going to stay there? And they have a lot of questions, and Paul tried to answer the question, but in the middle of that, because we're not going to touch that aspect of the letter because it's complicated, and I don't want to get in trouble with that, because it's complicated, that the coming of Christ and all that kind of thing. But in the middle of that, the whole thing, Paul is teaching the church how to be a church, teaching the disciples how to be disciples of Christ and good disciples of Christ. So lessons, beautiful lessons here from Paul to the church in the middle of that the whole situation. So today we're going to see another verse in the chapter 1 verse 11. Chapter 1 verse 11. Look what Paul wrote to them. With this in mind, we constantly pray for you that our God may count you worthy of his calling, and that by his power he may fulfill every good purpose of yours and every act prompted by your faith. It's a lot of things here to unpack, and we're probably not going to have time to unpack the whole thing, but one thing that Paul is saying is that, look, we constantly pray for you. That's good. We pray for each other. That's good. But the main goal of Paul praying is that God may count you worthy of his calling. God is the one who calls, and then God is the one that calls, and God by his power may fulfill every purpose and good act, every act prompted by your faith. So God is the one that called us. That's the first thing that we need to understand. God is the one that called us. And Paul says, I'm praying that you will be counted worthy of your calling. And that is, God may count you worthy. It's a very important thing for us to be worthy. We're saved by grace. We are saved by grace. We cannot misunderstand that. But after our salvation, we work with God, and God works with us in our life, in our ministry, in our growth, in our faith, in everything. And we need to be worthy. We need to work. He has a purpose for us. He has good deeds for us to practice, to do. And we need to do. Are we going to be perfect? No, we're not. But God will count us worthy. That was the prayer that Paul was making for them. That God would count them worthy of his calling. He called you, he called me, and yes, I didn't mess it up. I did the right thing. They are the right people for the job. They are the right people to do this, to do that. And this is very important for us to understand. And it's very important for you to understand that God will count you worthy. And he will, by his power, fulfill every good purpose. He will fulfill every good purpose. God has a purpose, and God has a work for you. And by his power, he will do that. That's great things, because we are living a Christian life. We need to live a Christian life by his power, not by our power. Not our ability, but his ability, his power, his gifts. And he has a purpose for you, and he has good deeds for you and me. And he's going to help us to do that through his power. And this is good news. And this is our snack for today. God bless you.